It's 25 years ago tonight on the Late Late Show with Tom Snyder. The guests were Quentin Tarantino and Margot Kidder. Wonderful guests. I mean, Tarantino can't stop talking, and it's always fascinating. And Margot Kidder, it was on the rebound from her much publicized manic episode that got her to realize she was bipolar. And she went off the rails because her laptop had gotten infected, and she lost 3 years of work on her memoir. So she flew out to California to remedy the situation. It didn't quite work out. Ended up in some guy's front lawn with her teeth all messed up after an attempted rape. And at least it got her on the path she needed to be on. You'll notice graphics on this video saying that it's from November 15th. Don Giller, the Dons of Late Night and Late Show with David Letterman YouTube channel fame, read me the riot act about this stuff in the 80s, because I was listing Letterman episodes when I was trading with the Dons from the date I recorded them, which was, 12:35 in the morning. But they were really part of the prior day's broadcast schedule. So it has led to a bunch of confusion. Best thing to do, archivists, is also research, Google. Pick into it. Dig. It's your job.
The address is CBS. Welcome home.
Howdy, folks, and welcome back, everybody. I'm Tom. The Colorcast is on the air now from CBS Television and Radio. It is finally Friday night, the 14th of November, 1997, and director Quentin Tarantino makes a return appearance tonight. You remember the last time he was here, we finished, and he said, when I come back here, which means he must have had a pretty good time. He said, when I come back here, I want to start in 1976 a milepost in motion picture history with the making of Rocky. So we'll start there with Mr. Tarantino tonight. And then Margot Kidder, who is back with a brand new motion picture in a big screen release, and of course the magic of you on the toll-free. I got out the old moron mirror today. I locked myself out of the house. How can you possibly do that? And you all know how you get back in. You call the locksmith, and he comes with the magic wires and gets you back in the house for $85 cash. No checks, no credit cards. We had this man on the air, the fellow who publishes the Weekly World News. Remember he was here? And the headline in the current or one of the recent issues, and I haven't put this up on the screen so you can see it, is warning the end of the world is near. As we get closer now to the year 2000 and the coming, what do they call that thing, the millennium, we are told that there are going to be a lot of predictions about the end of the world and a lot of people who think it's coming. And somebody sent in here, a lady named Pat, or a gentleman named Pat, sent in how various newspapers and media organs would report the end of the world as it arrives. So here are some different papers and media organs and how they might report the end of the world. For example, USA Today, the headline would be, "We're dead." The Wall Street Journal, "Dow Jones plummets as world ends." Playboy magazine, "Girls of the Apocalypse." Yeah. Microsoft Journal, "Apple loses market share." Victoria's Secret catalog, "Our final sale." And Sports Illustrated, "Game over." Rolling Stone, "The Grateful Dead reunion tour." Reader's Digest, "Bye-bye." Discover magazine, "Will the extinction of life as we know it affect the way we view the cosmos?" TV Guide, "Death and Damnation, CBS ratings soar." Ladies Home Journal, "Lose 10 pounds by Judgment Day." America Online, "System temporarily down, try calling back in 15 minutes." Forbes magazine, 10 ways you can profit from the apocalypse. Our own show, "The pictures ain't flying through the air, we are." And the National Enquirer, "OJ and Nicole together again." Quentin Tarantino joins us tonight. Margot Kidder is in the house, you on the toll-free. My first guest tonight is Quentin Tarantino, who is among the world's most famous writer, directors, thanks to the tremendous success of his motion pictures that include Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs. His fans have only a couple of weeks now to wait for his newest film called Jackie Brown. It'll hit the screens in December, I believe, and I'm pleased to welcome Quentin back to our program. And I want to pick up where we left off the last time when you said, you know, when I come back, and I appreciate you coming back, by the way, you said, I want to go to a milepost in movie making, and that was Rocky with Stallone in 1976. Why was that a major movie event?
Well, it was kind of a 1-2 punch, so to speak, by 76 and 77, because up until the whole first half of the 70s was pretty much characterized by the fact that they were different from the older Hollywood films. They were grittier, they were tougher. Actually, nonconformity and even like nihilism, to some degree, was in. You know,
could you give me an example?
Well, actually, like in a weird way, one of the things that made Easy Rider so popular was that the fact that the two characters got killed at the end.
At the end of the picture.
Yeah, okay. I mean that actually was like that was actually a commercial thing for a while. All right, having the characters die for nothing. Mm-hmm. You know, that was just kind of reflected the mood and stuff, and of the time. But then, that was so prevalent for such a long while that when Rocky came out. And it ended like with a happy ending.
Yeah, the champion was the champion.
Exactly. Yeah, people walked out.
Moment of triumph at the end of the film.
What's funny is like Rocky would actually be considered like a middle ending now, because actually Rocky didn't win the fight in the end of the first one. All right, but he did what he wanted to do. He won it for himself. But people walked out. It had been a long time since they'd gone to a movie and walked out feeling great. All right, and people remembered how good it was. And Stallone even was saying, I want to do movies that have happy endings. America wants that. Well, America actually found out they did want that.
Right, and we've all read that in that period of time, you were going to like 200 movies a year. You became a great student of movies.
Yes.
So was Rocky a big event for you as a moviegoer at that time?
Oh, Rocky was, at the end of the day, probably Rocky was probably like my favorite movie at that time period when I was a kid. It just said so much to me. One, the movie, and two, just Stallone's whole story was very inspirational to me, because at that time I wanted to be an actor and everything like that. I hadn't thought about directing yet or anything, but I actually had no hope that I would be lucky enough to go out and audition for a movie and be chosen out of all the people, then I would be the guy. I always felt that I would have to do what Stallone did. I would have to write it myself. I would have to be the force behind it. Right, he had to do because he couldn't find the product commercially that he could make at somebody else's authorship that would be as successful as his own story was. Exactly.
Rocky was Sly Stallone. It was Sylvester Stallone's story.
That was it. I always felt, I never felt I would be so lucky to be picked out of the group. I always felt that I would have to be the master of my own destiny to some degree. And so that movie, and he spoke so much to me. Actually, a lot of time has passed since Rocky and stuff, and people kind of make fun of Stallone a lot. Not so much now because he did such a good job in that movie Copland, but I've always thought he was a terrific actor. I think he forgot how good of an actor he could be, for the last few years.
And it could be said in fairness that maybe there were too many Rockies.
Yeah.
It could be said.
As far as I'm concerned, he could have stopped doing them after the second one. I loved the second one. To some degree, I actually like the second one even more than the first one.
Right, a lot
Third,
of people did.
4, 5,
everybody talks about the 60s, but things happened in movies in the 70s as well. We talked about the Rocky sequels. Didn't sequels begin in the 70s?
Yeah, well, it's like, people had done sequels before, but it was like Godfather 2 that really kind of put forth the idea out there that you could actually do a sequel that could possibly be even as good as the first one, and even like work as a companion piece.
And
there had never been a part 2 before. Now everything is 2.
As that sequel did The Godfather 2, it advanced the story.
Oh, yeah.
It took it in a new direction to a different destination. It wasn't just a replay, it wasn't just Ma and Pa Kettle all over again. It was something different in the Corleone family.
Oh, no, exactly. It was like, when most people now, they were so successful in that way that when most people now, they say, yeah, I remember the scene in The Godfather, and then you don't know if they're describing Godfather 1 or Godfather 2. They just kind of blend.
Seamless. What else happened in the 70s?
Well,
disaster pictures?
Well, the other punch of the 1-2 punch that changed everything was, one, there was the whole happy endings thing, which kind of brought an end to that nihilistic period, which is a very sad thing. For a little while there, you could kind of do whatever you want.
Although later Thelma and Louise would, in a way.
Well, that's almost even kind of a triumphant ending, even though they die. In the 70s, they were actually downers. People were trying to do downers. But then the next year, 1977, was the year that Star Wars came out. And when Star Wars came out, that was when all of a sudden people realized, damn, if we make these like this, where people, one, we're getting the kids, we're getting the teenagers, we're getting everybody. One, again, they're walking out of the theater feeling great, and you know what? They're coming back 8 times.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning, all right, of people going to see a movie like, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. That have brought like the grosses of movies way up.
Let me ask you about something that's happening right now. I don't know a lot about movies, but I like to read about films and news about pictures. There's a flick out now called The Full Monty, which I've seen. This picture has grossed over $100 million worldwide.
Yeah, good for them.
It was made at a cost of $3.5 million. Is that a trend? Could that become a trend, or is that just a fluke?
Well, it's like, it's not, I don't know if it's necessarily, is it a trend that movies will be made for $3 million and gross 100? No, that is a fluke.
Okay, all right, okay.
That's a fluke.
Okay.
All right, and the thing is, if you're going to go and make an independent film and everything, you don't use the Full Monty or Sex, Lies, and Videotape or Pulp Fiction as your example. That's the phenomena. That's the film that catches the wave. All right, you can't predict that.
Okay. They got lucky then, huh?
Yeah, they got lucky.
They had a good story, they had talent, but they got lucky in the marketplace.
They got lucky in the marketplace.
But does it also demonstrate that if you've got something good, people will go to see it?
Oh, that's definitely the case.
If you give people their money's worth, they will give you their money, huh?
That's the case. But you know what, though? It's really funny, though. There's also other movies out there that, you know what, if they had been released at a different time, with maybe a different campaign, or a different time, the same thing could have happened to them. But for whatever reason, they didn't click at that moment. Maybe 9 months from now, or 9 months before, later, or sooner, would have, that would have been the same case with them. It's, it's just all timing. It's really
now the picture you have coming up. It's in release in what, 2-3 weeks?
No, Christmas Day.
Christmas Day. Is that a good day to release a movie? Is that good timing for a picture? Is it good timing for Jackie Brown?
It's a good timing for Jackie Brown. I mean, I think it's a really good timing for Jackie Brown. The reason it's a good time, one, Christmas Day is kind of is a big movie release day. There's about 8 other movies opening that day.
That's right.
All right, and think about it. I mean, there's a whole lot of people in America. That's one of the things they do Christmas night.
Go to the pictures,
Go to the pictures. Okay, Thanksgiving, same thing. I've gone to the Thanksgiving movie with my family quite often, actually. The thing that's great for Jackie Brown, as far as this, you got a lot of movies opening. You got Titanic's going to be out there, and Steven Spielberg's Amistad, and Mr. Magoo, and you got all Kevin Costner's thing. None of them are our competition. All right, Jackie Brown is a thing unto itself. I mean, it's they're not our competition. If you want to see my movie, you'll see my movie. All right, no one's taking anything away from us. We're not trying to win the weekend. We want to be there. We want to watch everyone open, and we want to watch everyone close, and we're still there.
Right. You want legs.
Yeah, exactly.
Want legs. And when they see the name Quentin Tarantino above the title, you know that'll bring in a certain number of people.
Yeah.
That's a given when that picture comes out.
That's the idea.
Yeah, that would be the idea. We are chatting here with the director Quentin Tarantino. His newest picture is called Jackie Brown. The toll-free is up and running now at 800-952-2788. We'll be right back after this short commercial break. With director Quentin Tarantino, here is Jason now on the toll-free in LaGrange, New York. Hi, Jason. You're on the air.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, so far, thanks. What's on your mind tonight, Jason?
Yeah, I was just wondering, Quentin, I heard you dropped out of high school.
Yeah,
I was just wondering if you regretted doing that in any way, or...
I haven't regretted it because everything worked out. All right. I mean, one of the reasons that I was able to drop out of high school is because I knew what I wanted to do. And I just didn't necessarily need high school in order to do it. I mean, one of the things...
And when you say you knew what you wanted to do, it was to do something in movies or specifically to direct movies?
Yeah, it was to make films, yes.
Okay, and so you knew you didn't have to really know arithmetic or geography or politics to do that.
One of the really great things about Hollywood is actually probably the single greatest thing to me about Hollywood, other than the making of art, all right, is when it is it's sort of like the Klondike. I mean, you can come from anywhere, and people do. They come from it's like the gold rush or something. Everyone comes to Hollywood, and they come from all these different backgrounds, and you know what? It's the only major business where you don't need a college education.
Right.
You don't need a degree. You don't even need a high school education. It's on merit.
Yeah, but you need talent.
Yes.
and you need desire, and you need perseverance. And for every Quentin Tarantino, there are probably 100 who aspired to it and didn't make it.
Oh, that's definitely the case. But the thing about it, though, is also, it's like a situation, like you show up. No one's going to take for granted that you can do what you say you're going to do. You're going to need to do it yourself. You're going to need to build that. You're going to need to do something that shows that you can do good work. If you do that, and they see that, they don't care where you came from.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
It's literally that.
Now, Jason, let me ask you the motivation for your question. Are you by any chance in high school or in college?
I was in high school. I dropped out, and then I went to community college.
Right.
And I went there. I couldn't find anything in that. And then pretty much I'm in limbo now. But I'm just thinking about that, and I figure the end justifies the means. So.
Do you have a job of any kind, Jason? Do you support yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, Jason, let me just say, it's funny because it's like, you asked, do I regret it? No, I don't regret it. But literally, me saying because I knew what I wanted to do and it didn't require a high school diploma, that's saying everything. All right, that really means everything. Okay, if you want to be a painter, no, you don't need a high school education. And I've never always felt the whole thing about, no, get this for a backup. Well, I don't want to back up because I don't intend to back up, all right? I want to box myself in a corner where I can only go forward. But also, I hated school. I mean, it was just so not my thing.
What did you really hate about it?
I hated the formula and the system that had existed by the time that I was in school, because I'm not a dumb person. All right, but I don't really go well with the formula that they have, and they're not set up for the individual. They're set up to teach, and I don't know a better way. They're set up to teach as many kids the thing as they possibly can, and those who don't grab it, the ones that just move them through, and the ones that don't necessarily grasp it or have a harder time, they're just kind of falling by the wayside.
Right.
And also, I just wanted to go out and live life. I didn't want to just sit there, in school, and I just didn't want to do it. However, I didn't realize that everything wasn't going to be the way junior high was, all right?
Thank God, huh?
I didn't know that, all right? Like, for instance, okay, I went out with a girl who was going to college, all right, much later, and I actually kind of vicariously had my college years through her.
Sure.
And I actually would have really liked college. I didn't realize it was not going to be like junior high.
No, it's not.
It's nothing like it, all right? It's actually great. It's when you actually become an adult. But I didn't know that then. If I had to do it all over again, I actually ended up not doing anything in those years. So if I had to do it all over again, I probably would have gone to college because I would have enjoyed it.
And when you left high school, did you go to work?
Oh, yeah. I actually started working. Yeah, that was my mom's deal if I was going to quit. Get a job.
Get a job. And your job was video store?
No. That was much later. I was actually an usher at the Pussycat Theater in Torrance, California. That was my job at 16, lying about my age to get the job. Yeah.
Anyway, Jason, if you're coming out, don't come out without a job, and thanks for calling us tonight.
All right, thanks.
All right, thanks, young man. Bye-bye now. The Pussycat Theater, Deep Throat, huh?
Yeah. No, not the one on Hollywood Boulevard. It was in Torrance, California, and actually it was the last rung of the Pussycat Theater chain. This is before, really big time before video. So before it was getting ready to go to 8mm, all right, it would play at the Torrance, Pussycat Theater.
But they would have adult films, wouldn't they?
Oh, no, it was porno films, yeah. But it wasn't the Deep Throat Devil and Mrs. Jones for 5 years straight on Hollywood Boulevard. It was the low rent one of the chain.
What were the features there, as long as we're talking about it?
Oh, it was Gloria, what was her name? The high society chick, Gloria Leonard. She did a bunch of movies there. Leslie Bove, Jamie Gillis was in everything. The Jade Pussycat with John Holmes. There's a whole lot of them.
There's a picture out now that goes back to the 70s. It's called Boogie Nights. I don't know if you've seen this picture.
Yeah, I sure did, yeah.
I left that picture because I was put off by it. What did you think of that picture?
I really got a kick out of it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. And I was like, I liked the director. I thought he did a really good job and really kind of swept me up into it. And it was a fun picture. I loved Burt Reynolds in it. I thought he was excellent.
So did I.
It was so great because I've always been a big fan of his as an actor and a person and everything. I've never met the man, but I was named after him, actually.
Really?
Yeah, my mom had me when she was only 16, and she had Burt Reynolds at that time was on Gunsmoke, and he played a half half-breed Indian named Quint.
Right.
And I'm 25% Indian, and she had a crush on him. She was 16, all right? And so she named me Quentin. It was going to either name me Bert or Quentin, and I won, all right? I got the good one.
She did the right thing, huh?
Yeah. As much as I like Burt Reynolds, I don't want to be named Bert, all right? But it was great to actually see him carry a picture. It was great to see him in a class act film with some of that old movie star charisma. He's another guy, like we were talking about Stallone, who's a very terrific actor that, got neglected.
You like actors a lot, I gather.
Oh,
you admire actors.
Oh,
So
very much so.
And incidentally, speaking of Boogie Nights, as I said to the audience, because I didn't like it doesn't mean it's a bad picture. It means I didn't like it.
It's not your cup of tea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You brought Travolta back from Look Who's Talking. I mean, he was doing voiceover baby talk, and you put him back on track with Pulp Fiction, and he's found a whole new career.
Oh, yeah.
You helped him reinvent himself, and you like to do that, I take it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, yes, I do, but I don't do it as a stunt. All right, I don't do it as a thing. It's like, no, it's like I just. I remember. I have a good memory, all right, and I remember how good actors are and how good they can be when you give them the right kind of material. And just because they're not hot doesn't mean I've forgotten them. And
good for you, by the way. Bravo.
Oh, thank you very
a lot
much.
of actors get forgotten, and they do very, very good work.
Yeah, I know.
In fact, Pam Grier, who's the star of Jackie Brown.
Right. Yeah.
You admire her work, and you give her a vehicle that she can get her teeth into.
Yeah, exactly, and she does a wonderful job, and she's wonderful, and they all pay me back by giving a wonderful performance. But the thing is, there's a certain kind of light that you see in an actor's eyes when they're good, but they haven't been given good things to do for a while, so they're making the best out of what they have.
Right.
All right, and to me, that's a mark of an actor, to do making the best out of what you have. Some guys or gals just start phoning it in, but the really good actors don't. Hey, the good roles aren't there, but they're going to still do the best work that they can. And when you actually give them a piece of material that they can really dive into and really remind themselves what real acting is about, there's a certain light in their eyes that the people that take it for granted just don't have. Doesn't make them any less good, but it's just a certain light, and I like capturing that light.
We are with Quentin Tarantino, the director whose picture Jackie Brown opens on Christmas Day. The toll-free is up and running. We'll be right back. Quentin Tarantino, here's Keith on the toll-free in Shawnee, Kansas. Hi, Keith, and welcome to CBS Late Night.
Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome, sir.
Your pictures are flying through the air great. I love your show.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We're pumping them out full speed tonight.
You bet. Mr. Tarantino.
Hey, Keith.
I had read one time that you had never met your biological father, and I was wondering how you felt about that, and would you ever like to meet him?
No, I wouldn't. But not because I have all this. He's probably watching this. Not because I have all this like angst in my heart or anything, or I have this axe to grind, or it's nothing like that. It's just I don't know him. All right, my mom raised me. I'd never met him. I don't know him. He ain't been around before, and you know what? I don't even have a problem with that. But it's like me and my mom. That's my family.
And that works for you?
That completely works for me.
We often hear that without two parents, male, female, mother, father, that sometimes it's not for the betterment of the child. You never missed your dad?
Oh, no, I never, would I have liked to have a really great, wonderful dad out there with me? Who wouldn't, all right? But, like, my mom is just such a superwoman, It's like, and she gave me just such a wonderful view of women and the strength of women and everything. I didn't really miss anything. And the other thing is, like, I don't want to have to look at a total stranger, truly a total stranger, and have to feel that I'm supposed to feel something.
I understand.
It's not like it would be painful, it would be embarrassing,
Except what would happen, and this is really hypothetical, that one night a friend of yours or maybe your mom would take you to dinner with a guy and just say, this is my friend so-and-so, and you had a great dinner, and he was charming and wonderful and compassionate and funny and humorous. And at the end of the evening, he says, by the way, I'm your dad.
Well, if that were the case, this wouldn't be the case with this guy who is my biological father. All right? He's kind of a loser type, all right? So it's like that wouldn't be the case, all right? Yeah, if my Dad was Cary Grant, then maybe I might have a little different feeling about the whole thing. But you know what? I don't know if I
Quentin,
would.
I'm your dad. No,
That would be cool. I grew up watching you, so you might as well be. You're more of a dad to me than he was. But the thing about it, and I even say that, and that sounds like I'm giving him a dig, and I'm not really giving him a dig.
Sir. I understand.
It's just, he had a lot. If he really wanted to get in touch with me, he had 30 years to do it. All right, and now he's kind of trying, and I just, if you're watching, I appreciate it, but it's your thing, and it's not my thing, and God bless you, but live your life, and I'll continue to do that with me.
Interesting question, Keith, and as you can see, it produced a very interesting and sometimes an unexpected response. Thank you for calling, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Anything else on your mind tonight, Keith?
Just keep up the good work.
Thank you. You're very kind. You have a great weekend, you hear?
Thanks a lot.
All right, bye-bye now. Let me ask you about Quentin Tarantino and how he runs the set. Making actors comfortable is said to be extremely important in running a movie or a stage production. Yeah. What is a happy birthday moment on your stage?
Oh God, yeah. What happens with that is actually that got kind of that appeared in like some newspaper, and they got it kind of wrong. What it was they said that we did it whenever someone messed up. Actually, what it was, the way we did it on the set was all the time when you're making a movie, you'll have visitors come on the set.
Sure.
Somebody's aunt, somebody's sister, somebody's whoever, and visitors and whatever. So anytime like a visitor would come on the set, you always meet them and whatever. And then what we would always do is like, say you visited the set, all right? It's like, oh, hey, Tom, and everything. We'll just be talking. You kind of talk out loud while in between a shoot, in between a take or something, and you go, oh, hey, Tom, how you doing? And this is the first AD. This is Bill Clark. Hey, how you doing? And you know what, Bill? It is Tom's birthday today, And then the whole crew would just stop exactly what they're doing, and just like, happy birthday to you. And then what we would always do is when we got to the name, because not everyone would know the name, we just like, happy birthday, dear. Happy birthday, and just the whole idea was just kind of embarrass the visitors.
I will never come to your set. Although I'm in your picture, aren't I? A part of the show.
You are definitely in the picture. You and Tony Curtis, or Chris Tucker, the comedian, is watching your show.
And what is Skirt Day on your set?
Well, see, Skirt Day is a dress day. I didn't invent Dress Day. Dress Day happens on a few different films and everything. It's actually, to some degree, it's like the latent homosexual and everybody, gets to just run rampant on Skirt Day. And what happened was we were actually shooting, we had, Skirt Day came along, and I don't choose when it is, but it got chosen. And what happened, we were shooting in the Delamo Mall, and we didn't shut the mall down. We're like shooting in the mall with the whole mall going. And it was like 2 days before the 4th of July, so it was a real busy day. Well, that just happened to be Skirt Day. And I'd wimped out on like another day, like dress snappy day, which is we all dress in tuxes and stuff. So I couldn't wimp out on Skirt Day, So I showed up as a Catholic high school girl. I actually went to the costume designer and said, okay, you got to get me like a Catholic high school girl uniform with the blazer with the insignia and the knee-high socks and then the plaited skirt and everything and little hair clip. And so I had kind of long hair when I was shooting it. So I showed up as Skirt Day. Well, the thing about it is...
Do they take pictures of these days?
Oh, yeah, everyone was taking pictures. But the thing about it that was funny, though, is like, all the rest of the crew, they're all dressed up in skirts and dresses and full-on, whole things, all right? I'm the one that everyone recognizes of all the crowd there, right? I'm sitting there and, directing in my Catholic high school thing. But it was a blast. It was great.
Yeah, and do you take a name for the day? Like, were you Susie or somebody?
No, I didn't do that. But you know what I actually do, all right? Because it was actually very frustrating on this movie because I didn't act in this movie. I just directed it. There wasn't really a part that would be right for me. And I'm really kind of almost in an actor mindset as an artist now, almost more than I am. It's like that muscle is working right now. And so it was very frustrating because I wanted to do something, but I couldn't, and that was my choice. And one day, somebody gave me a cigar on the set, all right? And I just started smoking the cigar, and then all of a sudden I just started doing this like John Huston voice. And I've never like impersonated John Huston, and I don't have this big thing for John Huston. It just kind of came out. And then I started doing it more, and I started doing it more, and I literally did the entire second half of the day as John Huston. I wouldn't
do it.
No, it's not an impersonation. It was truly a performance. He truly channeled me. He came into me, and I wouldn't acknowledge myself as Quentin at all. I just was John Huston. I was this 70-year-old guy, and I just did it through the whole thing, and I could not do it at a certain point. And it's actually one of the best performances I've ever given. And I would not acknowledge Quentin at all. It was just, one, it was fun, but it was also fun to go with it, too. And we finished the day, and then we were partying, because it was like the end of the week, so we always had a party at the end of the week. I literally had to excuse myself as John Huston and say, I'm going to now walk out of the room and put out the cigar, and then Quentin will come back in. I couldn't have just stopped it. I literally had to go through a ceremony of putting him to sleep.
Interesting. I always am pleased when you come on this program. I wish you a happy holiday season, success with Jackie Brown, and I hope you'll come and visit us again sometime.
I will, and I'll come back sooner this time.
Okay, and we'll start with your collection of Jose Jimenez records.
Okay.
Quentin Tarantino is the guest. The picture is Jackie Brown opening on Christmas Day. Next, Margot Kidder right after this short break. Margot Kidder is known to most of us as Lois Lane in Superman pictures, but more than a year ago she made headlines for a very different reason. For 4 days she wandered the streets of Los Angeles in an impaired state, and when her odyssey was finally over, she was checked into a medical center and diagnosed as manic depressive. Since then, she's made a great comeback. Her life is on track. She's doing terrific work. She's in a brand new motion picture called Never Met Picasso, which opens in theaters on November the 29th. Margot will join us here on stage at CBS right after this short break. We are joined now by Margot Kidder. You know, we all read your story here in '96 in the papers, and then you were on the Barbara Walters show, were you not? The interviews?
Yeah.
What was it like for you after Barbara Walters? Like, did they embrace you?
People were really wonderful and very loving. I did Barbara Walters not at all for altruistic reasons, for very selfish ones. I was being hounded in an unbelievable fashion by the tabloid press.
Oh, sure.
No matter where I went. So trying to recover from a nervous breakdown with the National Enquirer and the Globe and the Star peeping out from bushes wasn't particularly easy. So it became clear I was going to have to do something. And then what came out of that was this, it was a great relief. I was very nervous about doing it. Really didn't want to talk about it, but it was clear something had to be said just to stop the rest of it. Letters from all over the world from people with manic depression that usually began with the heartbreaking phrase, I can't tell anyone this. You know, I've had this secret all my life. And I began to realize how many people have manic depression and how many people feel such shame about it, which I no longer do. I finally got to come out of the closet, or was outed, I think would be a more appropriate way of putting it.
I've always thought, you know, that in this age of enlightenment that we call the 1990s, we talk about approaching the millennium and how enlightened we are as a civilization, that all the taboos about mental illness were gone, that all of the shame of mental illness was gone because it wasn't anybody's fault if one were manic depressive. You didn't do anything wrong and you weren't punished by being made manic depressive by a vengeful God.
Well, I think that's changing. My daughter, several years before, had said, Mom, there's nothing embarrassing about it. It's actually kind of cool. There's somebody at school. And I thought, wow, we really did bring up this generation to have a kind of acceptance of different human behaviors in a better way than we had. But my generation, and I'm sure when you were young, you didn't speak of these things. I remember the rumors in one small town we lived in when somebody's mom had a nervous breakdown. And it was a huge scandal.
Or Uncle George had to go away.
Exactly. When I got back to Livingston I was able to get well without drugs, this time with a wonderful Buddhist therapist in Vancouver who gave me extraordinarily powerful acupuncture treatments. And I got back, was driving back to Livingston, and I thought, oh my God, I can't face anyone. I'm going to have a bag over my head. I can't bear this. And I do live in the best small town in North America, I must say. But
then
almost
don't mention its name. Don't say its name, or it'll become the biggest small town in America.
Almost everybody I bumped into in the dry cleaners, in the convenience store, friends of friends, said, you know, it happened to me, or it happened to my husband. And it became very clear to me, and then with all the letters after the Barbara Walters show, it's so common. And why are we all keeping it a secret? Because it isn't all that hideous. And one is you know, I'm normal most of the time.
Exactly, exactly. The only thing I want to ask you about, I don't want to go through that whole 4-day period where you suffered.
Too complicated, yeah.
But the one thing I read this afternoon, you met a guy named Charlie.
I did.
A street guy who was, and I want you to talk about him, but he seemed so kind to you.
Well, a lot of homeless people reached out to me and basically saved my life. They reached out without any judgment, without any, now you're crazy. They just took care of me. They saw someone in trouble, as they've all been. None of them, as one of them said to me, you know, none of us are from here. We didn't all ask to be here.
Yeah.
And Charlie took me home to his cardboard box and gave me a place to sleep and got me some food, and I was shivering and shaking and terrified, and just put his arms around me and took care of me for a couple of days. And I went to try and find him a few months ago, but there's so many homeless
and they moved. They're
little
nomads.
towns downtown that I couldn't find him again.
Did anybody recognize you? Did anybody know you?
No, nobody did, which was sort of amazing, because at one point I was right beside a movie being shot down on Figueroa Street, and I thought I had to get blown up, and I had to do this, and I'd save my daughter's life, and I was a very complicated paranoid delusion. And so I was yelling out like a street woman, you know, keep that music going. If I have to die, I'd like to die with music. And of course later realized, wait a minute, they were filming a movie, and of course the man next to you wasn't with the CIA, who was looking at me shaking his head like that. But no, nobody did. No one did.
And then you finally identified yourself to somebody.
I did. I didn't want to scare her. I was sleeping in her woodpile in the bushes. I didn't sort of come staggering. A lot of the stories, they ended up having me with a knife in some of the stories. Some of them got really wacky. Yeah. I just said, excuse me, I don't want to scare you, but I'm scared, and here I am.
Let me ask you here about this, all this media attention, you know, after you...
Look, don't you think it was a little strange? I mean, I was on TV in Beijing, for God's sake. I know, but it was really weird.
Compare it, if you can. When you were Lois Lane, I mean, kid, you were famous worldwide, huh? You were in Beijing, you were everywhere. What was that fame like, and the fears it may have created within you as compared to when the tabloids came after you, when you lost your way?
Well, there was a point. I didn't handle fame after Superman very well. It made me, in fact, much more insecure rather than more secure. More secure. And I always felt I didn't live up to people's expectations, and going to premieres was agony for me, and I'd wash down a bunch of Valium with some champagne just to get there because I was so panicked. So at a certain point, after all that brouhaha, I decided I wasn't going to be famous anymore and changed my mind. I still wanted to work as an actress, and I still wanted good parts, but I didn't want
to be famous anymore.
So I moved to, upstate New York, and wore my glasses all the time and didn't wear makeup, and would be genuinely, like, miffed at people who recognized me, and as if to say, well, I've changed my mind. Well, you've got
I don't want to be her anymore.
Really, I've changed my mind. I'm not Margot movie star anymore. I'm Margie, I'm me, and so you can't recognize me. And, of course, you don't get to do that. It doesn't work that way. The notoriety of having, as I said, the most public flip-out in human history was, and as my mother said, she said, dear, why is this on TV? Oh, I love you very much, but there are more important things going on in the world. Is this really necessary?
We do tend to cover aberration horribly. I mean, we truly make you as important as Saddam Hussein for 24 hours. Let me ask you here about Never Met Picasso.
Wonderful movie.
You're the mother of a gay guy, and it's stories about how your lives interconnect, and sometimes...
My brother was gay in the movie, and my son's gay, and I have my first lesbian encounter. Love scene. But what's lovely about the movie is that it doesn't hammer the gayness on the head. It's gay people who are humans who are having lives, and it's not a
preachy movie.
It's not preachy. It's not about, oh, he's gay and the angst. It's what gays are, human beings who happen to be gay, who live lives. And I think that's incredibly refreshing. It's a lovely, lovely movie. It's very funny. Alexis Arquette is hilarious in it. He plays my son. And I'm very proud of it. It comes out in 2 weeks.
You're going to get famous again.
I've got 3 coming out the next 2 weeks.
You're going to get famous again now.
Well, it'll be a little different.
Now, you found heaven now in Montana, the greatest small town in America.
The last best place.
But they know you're Margot movie star, huh?
But I'm not Margot movie star at home. I'm Margie, and people just care if you're a good person or a bad person. They don't care about anything else. And so I'm just me at home.
And how are you doing at coping with the world these days, young lady?
I'm coping very well.
I'm glad to
feel
hear that.
solid as a rock and
You ever
very healthy.
You ever talk to Christopher Reeves?
I do talk to Christopher.
Mm-hmm.
Christopher was very supportive and helpful through this, coached me on how to deal with Barbara Walters. He said something wonderful. He said, you owe her your story. You don't owe her your pain. And I went, ooh, that's a smart remark. Good, Chris.
Yeah, good indeed.
So he said, don't let her make you cry, which I did dribble a tear at one point on it. But he's just such an inspiration and so remarkable. And
so are you, kid. Keep going.
Thank you very much.
Happy holidays. Thanks for
you.
joining us. I hope it's a big smash for you.
Thanks.
Okay, Margot, movie star. Margot Kidder is the guest. The picture is called Never Met Picasso, and it opens November 28th at theaters all across America. Back to wrap it up for the week and tell you about next Monday after this break. You see, if I were Charles Grodin, I did these movies with Bonnie Hunt, you know, the Beethoven movies. She's on Monday. Along with Carl Hyacin. So I hope you'll join us then. Chuck, I'm only kidding now, come on. What's the time factor here? The reason it takes 1 million sperm to fertilize 1 egg is they will not stop to ask for directions.
There's further patronage information in the video descriptions below. Thanks for all the support and making the channel grow.